You hit the number. $1.5 million sitting perfectly square and quiet in an index fund. You put in your 2 weeks of notice. You bought the folding chair. You are 35 years old. You never have to attend a mandatory staff meeting about corporate synergy again. This is the dream of financial independence. You just live off the interest forever. It is a beautiful dream. It is also mathematically terrifying. The entire movement relies on a piece of math from the late 90s called the Trinity study. It established the 4% rule. The premise is clean. You invest your money in a boring mix of stocks and bonds. You pull out exactly 4% of your total pile during year one. You use that to buy groceries. You use it to pay rent. The market growth theoretically outpaces your withdrawals. Your stack of green rectangles never runs out. For our guy sitting in the beach chair, 4% of $1.5 million is $60,000 a year. That is comfortable sweatpants money. For a 65-year-old traditional retiree, this math is generally bulletproof. They only need the money to last 30 years. Our guy is 35. He needs this pile to last 50 years. He needs it to survive half a century of unknown economic variables. That is where the neat math starts to fracture. The 4% rule was designed for a standard retirement timeline. Applying a 30-year rule to a 50-year problem creates massive structural risk. You are asking a very finite pile of money to do an infinite amount of work. Let us introduce the first problem. It is the invisible tax on existing, inflation. $1 today buys exactly $1 of things. In 30 years, that same piece of paper buys significantly less. The Federal Reserve explicitly targets a 2% annual loss in your purchasing power. That is their stated goal. Often they miss that target. It goes much higher. If you withdraw $60,000 in year 1, you cannot just withdraw $60,000 in year 10. By then, your rent, the price of milk, and the cost to repair a leaky roof have all skyrocketed. To maintain the exact same quality of life, you have to withdraw more money each year. If inflation sits at a calm 3%, that initial $60,000 lifestyle will cost you over $100,000 by the time you are 55. By the time you are 75, it costs almost $200,000. You are now pulling significantly more than 4% out of the portfolio. The Trinity study accounts for inflation adjustments. It assumes standard historical inflation. If we hit a decade of high inflation like the 70s, the purchasing power of your fixed pile collapses. You have to yank huge chunks of capital out just to buy bread. You are draining the main reservoir. Once the principal drops too low, it stops generating enough interest to replenish itself. That leads us directly to the most dangerous concept in early retirement: sequence of returns risk. This is the silent killer. The market averages an 8 to 10% return over the long haul. That is a fact. But it does not deliver that smoothly. It delivers it in violent, unpredictable spasms. Sometimes it jumps 20%. Sometimes it crashes 30%. If the market crashes when you are 35 and just starting retirement, you are in serious trouble. Your $1.5 million portfolio drops to $1 million. You still need your $60,000 to live. You sell your index funds while they are down. You just locked in those losses permanently. You sold shares at a discount just to pay the electric bill. When the market eventually recovers, you have fewer shares participating in the bounce back. Your pile is permanently stunted. But if that exact same market crash happens in year 10 of your retirement, you are fine. Your portfolio had a decade of growth. It is huge. It can easily absorb the hit. The actual sequence of the good years and bad years dictates your survival. Retiring early means stepping into the casino. You are praying. You do not roll snake eyes in the first 5 years. You cannot control the timing of global recessions. You are staking 50 years of freedom on pure chronological luck. Then we run into the reality of fixed human costs. When you are employed, you rarely see the true cost of staying alive. Your employer subsidizes a massive portion of your health insurance. The second you quit, that subsidy vanishes. You are now buying a private market plan. For a couple in their late 30s, decent coverage can easily cost over $1,000 every single month. That is just the premium. That is what you pay for the privilege of having the insurance card. If you actually get sick, you have massive deductibles. You have constant copays. One bad diagnosis can instantly wipe out $20,000 of your capital. You cannot budget for bad luck. Health insurance costs rise dramatically faster than standard inflation. That $60,000 safe withdrawal amount suddenly feels incredibly tight when a quarter of it vanishes immediately to medical premiums. The basic math of early retirement assumes a sterile, frictionless existence. It assumes you never need major dental work. It assumes your city never radically reassesses your property taxes. It assumes you never have an aging parent who needs financial help. Trying to navigate half a century of random aggressive financial events on a rigid fixed income is intensely stressful. The whole point of financial freedom was to eliminate stress. Instead, you replaced a boss micromanaging your work with a spreadsheet micromanaging your existence. Many early retirees report severe anxiety during market dips. They check their portfolio balance daily. They cut back on basic pleasures because the market had a bad week. This is not actual freedom. This is becoming a hostage to the stock market. You are technically retired, or in other words, an anxious, unpaid portfolio manager. Expecting perfect math for 50 straight years is a massive risk, because real life is messy. If you rely entirely on your investments and the market drops, your plan breaks. But you don't have to give up on financial freedom. You just need a safer, easier strategy. This is where Barista Fire comes in. You still build up a huge investment portfolio, but you don't touch the money yet. You stop stressing over strict rules. Instead, you just quit the high-stress corporate job that makes you miserable and take a low-stress job you actually like. Maybe you work 20 hours a week at a local coffee shop. Maybe you do some freelance design or edit a few videos on your own schedule. You only need to earn enough to pay your basic bills, like rent and food. And because you are covering your daily expenses with that easy part-time work, your massive investment portfolio gets to sit in the background and keep growing completely untouched. By doing this, you completely eliminate the biggest danger of early retirement, a market crash. If the economy tanks, you don't even care. Why? Because you aren't forced to sell off your investments just to buy groceries. You're buying groceries with your barista paycheck. This hybrid approach doesn't just fix the math, it fixes the lifestyle. It gives your day a healthy structure. Depending on where you work, it can even provide you with subsidized health insurance. Better yet, it completely solves the depressing isolation that so many early retirees face when they stop working entirely. You are financially secure and you completely dictate your own schedule. You get all the emotional freedom of retiring early, without the constant mathematical terror of a 50-year drawdown phase hanging over your head. At the end of the day, financial independence is raw power. It is the ultimate ability to say no. It is the permanent option to just walk away from toxic bosses and toxic environments whenever you want. Traditional early retirement is actually a dangerous trap because it forces you to rely on one fixed number while the real world is constantly changing. We are taught that working is the ultimate enemy and doing absolutely nothing is the ultimate goal. But both of those ideas are wrong. You have to look at it differently. Stop stressing over a perfect exit at age 35 and start aiming for flexibility instead. Build your wealth safely and use it to control your own time. Keep earning a little bit of money while your investments grow in the background. That is how you actually beat the system. You don't quit the game, you just change the rules. And in the end, that is the only way to win.